for May 13th, 2020, again via Zoom. As normal, we will have a moment of silence. And I would just ask that during this moment of silence, we remember those that have been affected by this virus and their families. Also those working on the front lines, the nurses, doctors, first responders, police, fire, EMTs, and also those that serve the public, from the people that bring your food to your homes and to your cars, and also those who collect your trash every day that are out there helping us and helping the public. And always to think that we will get through this and we will come back stronger than ever. So if we could just have a moment of silence, that'd be a great thing. And now for a pledge allegiance. I guess, can we do that seated? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Lewis, any changes or additions to the agenda today?
There are no changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We have no special actions. I guess we do have a couple email public comments, and Mr. Lewis, if you would like to read those.
Sure. The first is from Robin Naylor, 521 Old Swift Road, Langhorne, to whom it may concern. May 7th zoning hearing board meeting concerning 1780 Silver Lake Road was the most unprofessional meeting I have ever attended. As a concerned citizen, I would have expected a hearing board that would have allowed citizens to express their concerns regarding real estate projects that impact one's neighborhood, my neighborhood. I was at a disadvantage being on Zoom audio, and when it came time for public comment, I was unable to be heard. I was told to press a number at the bottom of my phone to connect. However, there was no number there. And I discovered later that the connect button was at the top of the iPhone, but it was too late. I live in a house away from the Fabiano home, and this is my beautiful country neighborhood that's at stake. I wanted to be heard. The constant loud interruptions throughout the meeting while citizens were speaking was incredibly rude and distressing. Why was this allowed? I am disturbed and disappointed at this unruly behavior. This meeting was unfamiliar from the get-go, since there were those who wanted to speak but couldn't because they lacked the technology required to participate.
I guess we should pass that on to the zoning hearing board, since they operate separately than we do. And maybe whoever handles their Zoom can try to tweak it a little bit better.
Yep, we will pass that on. And I will say that we're all just sort of trying to do our best here with the tools that we have at our hands. So I know zoning hearing board is a difficult meeting to run virtually. So the second public comment I have is from Michael Rutan. For the past 2 months, we have been subject to a lockdown due to the COVID-19 virus. The reason that Governor Wolf shut down the economy was so that we did not overwhelm our healthcare system with people infected with the virus. It was to flatten the curve, or so that's what we were told. If so, why are we still unable to open our business or go to work? Based on the Speaker of the House of PA Mike Terrazzi's letter dated May 6th, the flattening of the curve has been achieved of that date with 37,000 hospital beds available, and only 2,572 are occupied by COVID patients, of which 539 are on ventilators. For more statistical data, please refer to the letter. Over the last 10 to 15 years, Newtown and Newtown Borough have enjoyed a tremendous expansion in their communities from number of residents, increased real estate values, increased tax base, as well as, and due to the increased bar, restaurant, and retail business, which contribute to the communities with added exposure to Newtown and taxes. The appeal of Newtown, as well as the real estate values and the tax base, will not be served by a continued lockdown. No one wants to live in a place where businesses are shuttered or boarded up, but if this continues, many businesses may not survive. So how do we open? First, the Board of Supervisors of Newtown should do everything in their power to help their community businesses reopen. For example, any and all requests of businesses should be expedited and approved ASAP. As such, a restaurant that wants to expand their footprint to outdoor or curbside dining to alleviate indoor crowding. The CDC has given guidance as they think can open under the CDC guidelines, however, most won't survive. A restaurant cannot operate at 25 to 30% capacity for more than a couple months. The numbers just don't work. We're at a point where the cure has become worse than the virus, and the government needs to give back to the freedoms that they have wrongfully taken away. Everyone is aware of what needs to be done, who is at risk, and how to move forward. All Americans take risks every day. Some of those risks, like driving a car, are acceptable. When we're open for business, people have a choice to make. Either they are comfortable with the risk of entering the business or they are not. Free will. We should be able to make those choices. We need the board and the state governments to be more nimble and responsive to our needs. We do not have the luxury of baby steps because there is no revenue coming in at this point. And if it goes much longer, there will be nothing left to bail out. That's all the public comments I have.
Thank you for reading that. Mr. Sander, is there any legal explanation as to the governor's ruling or mandate that maybe you could elaborate on? I don't want to get into a discussion or debate about this, but is there anything from a legal perspective that you could add to this?
The state is in charge of this. The governor's office and his cabinet decide when to allow businesses to reopen and under what circumstances. I understand the commenter's frustration. However, the township does not have the ability to unilaterally say businesses in Newtown Township can open in violation of the governor's order. So this is a matter that unfortunately is outside the ambit of this board and would have to be taken up with the state executive branch and the legislature.
And if a business were to open up, of which they can freely do so, wouldn't they be policed by the state police and not necessarily the Newtown police, since it's a state order, and the state police could come in and ask them to cease and desist until everything was properly back?
Yes.
All right, thank you. No minor approvals, no public hearing, reports of committee, boards, and commissions. We don't have anyone here, but I think some of us did attend some meetings. I don't know if you wanted to discuss the jointure, if anyone wanted to.
Yeah,
Jerry.
I have two things that I'd like to discuss regarding the jointure meeting, which was held on May 7th. Regarding the E30 use, the curative amendment, I think they've revised the draft amendment and have sent it out to the various planning commissions in all the 3 townships, which will review them again. I know our planning commission has reviewed several different drafts and has some comments. And the solicitor said that all comments from the planning commissions will be shared with each other so that everybody can see what each township is thinking about this. I know that Alan Fidler, the chair of the Newtown Planning Commission, attended the meeting, so he's well aware of all this. And I know that the next meeting, Upper Makefield Planning Commission will be on May 27th, and the Wrightstown Planning Commission will be meeting tomorrow, I think. And the solicitors submitted a new timeline, which everybody should be aware of. Also discussed was the comprehensive plan and a review of the resident survey that the Bucks County Planning Commission is preparing. The next step is for the Bucks County Planning Commission to coordinate with township managers when and how best to distribute the survey. I don't know if Micah has been apprised of this yet, but that's what I was informed. And one issue concerned that was discussed concerned the use of jointure in the questions like, what do you consider to be the most important problems facing the jointure? Most people felt that and decided that many residents do not know what is meant by the jointure. So the survey will substitute community for jointure in such questions. Also, if the residents want to listen to the Zoom joint zoning council meeting that was held on May 7th, I think it's available on the Newtown Township website. You just have to go to the minutes, 2020 minutes of the joint zoning council, and you'll see a link there. Perhaps that link could be better placed on the homepage of the website. That might be helpful. Of course, all this costs money. And as you recall, the jointure approved a budget of $63,000 to cover $12,000 in normal operating expenses and $51,000 for the comprehensive plan remake, or whatever you call it. While there is a grant application from the DCED for the comprehensive plan, this has not been awarded as yet. As the treasurer, I'll be sending out assessment letters to all, treasurer of the Joint Zoning Council, I'll be sending out assessment letters to all 3 township managers. For Newtown, the current assessment fee will be $5,606 to cover its portion of the $12,000 operating budget for 2020, and the collection of the $51,000 assessment to cover Newtown's share of the comprehensive plan expenses is being delayed due to COVID-19. Just to let you know, the current jointure checking account balance is $3,496 with an outstanding fee of $1,271. So prompt payment of the assessment fee is requested. I'll have to get that letter to Mike as soon as possible. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anyone else have any reports from committees that maybe they have been to as liaisons?
Yes, this is Dennis. I just had a quick comment about the Sewer Authority meeting, which occurred yesterday afternoon. And among many other things, one of the main discussion points was the recommencement of work on the sewer replacement in Nob Hill and Devonshire. And so that has begun. They started digging out for curb replacement on Monday, and they're here starting to do I think the 7 last houses on the lateral lines going from the main sewer into people's homes. So that's ongoing. I just wanted to warn everyone, if all of a sudden I go off the air, it's because they've already cut my cable once this morning. So if that happens, I'm prepared to jump on with my phone.
Was this a Zoom meeting they had or a live meeting?
Yesterday afternoon, it wasn't Zoom, it was
WebEx.
WebEx? Okay.
Yeah. And since you brought it up, since you mentioned it, I'll just say they had technical difficulties with it as well. So it is in now.
Yeah, they need to get Zoom, Jerry. It was awful.
Yeah, even sitting there was awful.
Okay. Anyone else have any committees that maybe they've been through? I know, well, or Zoomed with in the meantime? Okay.
I think a couple of us have had phone conversations with a couple of people on committees. Like I know I've talked to somebody, on the finance committee and somebody on the EAC, but those
But
aren't
they didn't have any meetings, correct? Or,
meetings.
on to board members' reports. Chairman, I really have nothing to report, so I'll go into Vice Chairman. Dennis, if you have anything.
The things I had were just the ones I reported on.
Okay.
Yep.
John, anything?
Yes, I do have something, and I'm sorry to take up so much time, but we have a light agenda, and I think you and other people might be interested in this. I wanted to let you know that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, mitigation efforts are having this devastating effect on Newtown businesses, including restaurants and retail shops. And this was mentioned by the commentator. Many businesses are currently open to a limited degree. For example, at least 45 Newtown Borough, Newtown Township restaurants and eateries are open for curbside pickup and delivery during limited hours. But some of these establishments, many owned by local residents, need help generating business. That is why several local Newtown Township and Newtown Borough businesses, private citizens, and representatives of business associations, including the Newtown Mercantile Group and members of the Newtown Business Association, are in the process of soliciting local restaurants and retail stores to participate in the Newtown area local business bingo game. Let me explain a little bit what this is. Newtown Bingo, for short, is a contest based on a similar initiative in Tempe. Is it Tempe, Nevada, Arizona? What is that?
Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah, had such a game to benefit local businesses. In this case, there'll be like 25 businesses will participate, each with a square on the bingo board game card. And to play the game and achieve bingo, players, residents basically, must order a meal or item of minimum specific value from 5 businesses within a 2-week period, like in regular bingo, along a row, a column, or a diagonal. Details about the awards and grand prize can be found at www.newtownbingo.com. So far, about 19 businesses have signed on. It seems to be pretty popular. If you are a business owner interested in getting your business on the Newtown Bingo card, I can give you the contact. Is that okay for me to tell people who to contact?
Go ahead.
It's Eric Scott Gold via email at Eric Scott Gold, which is spelled ERICSCOTTGOLD 215@gmail.com, or call him at 215-750-2600. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Kyle, anything?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. David? Can't hear you.
Nothing at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We have no land development reports of officials. Ms. Engineer.
Thank you. Our first and only item is certificate of completion number 3 for the Newtown Athletic Club. This was prepared by CKS Engineers. So they recommend approval of the certificate in the amount of $67,085.
Okay, do I have such a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any questions from the board? There's none from the public, and nobody emailed anything in on this issue, did they? Okay. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor.
No items on this meeting, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General fund balance today is $2,419,167. The plan acquired. I have a few items today for your consideration. The first is the consideration to approve the memorandum of understanding for exempt administrative police command employees. We had our labor attorney put together this agreement that gives certain benefits to exempt personnel in the police department, which are the lieutenants and the chief. So with that memorandum is included in the board's packet for consideration.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any questions? Just to elaborate, this is pretty standard in regards to the health benefits and so on.
Yes, it's consistent with what other police officers get.
Okay.
This is just extending those benefits to the management as we have done in the past. It was just never memorialized, I guess you could say, in the correct manner. So this is what we're trying to do here.
Gotcha. Any other questions?
I saw that it was someone has to be at least 50 years old and have 25 years of service. Is that correct?
Correct. That's also what's in the PBA contract.
Okay, seeing no other questions, I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Second item under my report, Mr. Chairman, is the consideration to reapprove the Clark House lease. We have a tenant that's interested in moving into the property. This will bring roughly $875 a month in revenue, $22,500 annually.
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Wasn't it 1,800?
It was $1,875 a month.
Okay, I thought you said 800. That's what.
Yeah, I was going to question that too.
Said 8.
Yeah,
Might have.
that's okay. What's $1,000 here or there?
Right.
But
Take what we can get.
12 grand a year.
anyway, just I mean, not to read the whole. I did scan it over, but can you go over some issues like if the person were to terminate early? Responsibilities of that person. I know it's a historic building. Do they have some sort of caretaker responsibilities or anything like that, Micah?
Well, they have to do the basic upkeep as you would in any other residential property, your home, any of that stuff. The township will take care of all the outside exterior maintenance, meaning cutting the grass, anything happens to the roof, the structure of the house, or any of that stuff. But the tenant is responsible for all interior maintenance as well as the upkeep and care.
Okay. Not that it will happen, but in the case that we have to evict anyone, what is our standing on that? And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just want to, as a precaution.
Right. Mr. Sander, would you be able to speak more to that?
Yeah, I mean, the lease contains, first of all, this is the same lease that was used for this same tenant previously. Mike, is that, correct me if I'm wrong?
That's correct.
Okay. The lease contains standard lease provisions where if the tenant does not pay rent, do what the tenant's required to do under the lease with the repairs and maintenance that Micah just spoke about, that the township could find the lessee in default and attempt to evict. It's a process, it's a court process. If we do, the township has the option of accelerating the rent, which means that any unpaid rent would be due in bulk to the township if the lessee was evicted. So we do have our remedies. I believe the lease is solid on those grounds. With something like this, it's treated as sort of a friendly thing. Obviously, the four corners of the lease would govern if both sides, wanted to have at it. But this has generally been a kind of friendly, hey, here's the terms, just do what you need to do and everything will be all right. And you take it from there. So, but I'm confident that the lease has everything that it needs to have to protect the township in the case of a breach.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion and a second. Any other questions from the board?
So the township is a landlord, basically, in this case. All right.
Correct, John.
Under the current circumstances, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but, a lot of people need help. And I guess this tenant has a financial record or whatever that has been experienced with this tenant. So we have no problems that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we also potentially, after the lease is up and that tenant wants to stay, depending upon where we are currently financially, potentially could raise the potential rent by a
Yeah,
certain.
Sure.
Right. The lease agreement would be updated on a yearly basis.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
The final thing I have under my agenda, Mr. Chairman, is a consideration of the board to sell one of our older pieces of equipment that on municipal bid, as recommended by our Public Works Director. So the appropriate motion would be motion to list the 2003 Ford F-350 dump truck with plow and salt spreader on municipal bid.
Okay, do I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have to put any kind of cost in there? That I know it said between 6,000 and 12,000. I thought I read
Yeah, we put a minimum reserve on it.
minimum. Okay,
It's basically eBay for municipalities to sell stuff. So
gotcha. Any further
Mike,
questions?
I'm sorry, is it a Ford F-550?
no, it's a 350.
350.
Okay, because I saw in the memo from
Joe?
whomever asked for it, I thought it said 550. I just want to make sure
Oh,
we're selling the
you're
right
correct.
truck.
It's a 550. I was getting 2003 and 550 mixed up. So it's a 550.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Passes 5-0.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Minutes, bills list, and reports. Mr. Mack.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 22nd, 2020 Board of Supervisors meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any questions from the board? None from the public. So I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay. I move that we pay our bills according to the bills list dated May 13, 2020, totaling $357,678.53.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions from the board on the bills list?
I have a few questions, seeing that, this is going to be a pretty short meeting and everybody's already had lunch and we've got no place to go. I hope you give me a little patience with the questions that I have. On page 2, there's $10,717.50 payable to ESI Consulting Solutions for consulting services regarding financial analysis. I know we approved this work, but can you explain what work product this bill specifically covers, or is it like a installment payment? I haven't seen the actual invoice.
Micah, you've been in contact with them, so I don't know if you want to
They have,
elaborate.
sure. They have started to do the interview processes with the department heads. They've also put together a projected year-end cash flow analysis for the board, which I will be distributing shortly. And they have started putting together the, I guess, the frame of the 5-year financial plan.
Okay. I'm noticing a few things related to COVID-19, specifically on page 3, like $678.44 payable to Imperial Dade for COVID-19 supplies. I presume these are cleaning supplies?
Those are cleaning supplies under that line item, yes.
Okay. Again, on page 4, the $7,000 payable to Maylee for auditing services for the fiscal year 2019. I assume we will be getting a presentation sometime in the fall as usual.
Yep.
Okay. Lastly, also looks like it has something to do with COVID-19. I just need some clarification. On page 7, there was $2,208.93 paid to Video Gold Productions for COVID-19 video services and support. I assume this is specifically related to the April 22nd board meeting, Zoom meeting. But is some of this a one-time charge, or will we be paying a similar amount for every Zoom meeting?
No, this is to just try to get this platform up and running so we'll be able to broadcast it over TV. As well as you know, previously we were trying to do a YouTube live stream as well, which unfortunately didn't work out. But this was to try to get this platform set up to be able to distribute on the television stations.
So in the future, I mean, I don't know how many more Zoom meetings we're going to have. It's not going to be such a big amount, or is it?
No, it's not anticipated.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you, John. Motion and second. Any other questions on the bills list from the board? I don't think we've had any faxes from the public, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, lastly, I move that we approve interfund transfers as per the bills list dated May 13, 2020, totaling $216,347.95.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions from the board? Say from the public, but I don't think we've had any emails coming in on this. So I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, John. I guess where are we at? Second session of public comment. Anything come in, Micah?
No, there's nothing additional.
Okay. Anyone have any old business to discuss? Any new business to discuss? Do we
I have,
have a need for a?
Something maybe,
Yes.
but is that okay? Okay.
No, yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to get back to the comment we received about the possibility of the township helping local businesses. I'm not quite sure what we can do, but I've discussed this with several local businesses, and you know, I was just trying to think outside the box. This is just for discussion. I know we have a finance committee, for example, that has been charged with helping in ordinary times find out ways, for example, to bring new businesses into Newtown. But obviously we're in a different situation now. And I know that the finance committee has had a survey working on a survey that we previewed. I'm not sure if it was totally approved. It's probably on hold more or less, but maybe it's a time that that survey be re-looked at in light of this COVID reopening process, and especially to survey businesses about what they need and what Newtown can do to possibly help them. I know that in at least a couple of discussions I had with businesses, restaurants in particular, some restaurants that we've approved with conditional use have outdoor seating areas that make it easier for them and more likely that when they do open for dine-in business, that they'll be able to seat at least people outdoors, which to me seems a more better solution because of various other problems, less likely to be infected maybe. But in any case, there are some other restaurants that do not have that outdoor seating, and I know at least a couple have asked about transforming part of the parking area outside their restaurant into an outdoor eating area. And I know I discussed this with Mr. Lewis, and he suggested it's not in their certificate of occupancy and you got to go to the state and all that. But I've also heard of places like Wildwood and other places that have allowed this sort of thing. So, I'm just looking for solutions, and maybe the Newtown Finance Committee can also get together somehow through Zoom. I know that the township has a Zoom platform that we paid for and that maybe some of these committees can use and still be doing work. I mean, you can't just cancel these committee meetings indefinitely. And I think those committees should get back to work, and especially the Finance Committee, perhaps, to try to bring in some local businesses in a kind of a task force to ask them, well, what are some ideas that the township can pursue that may be able to help them, and how can they help themselves, and how could they make sure that they open in a safe way when this does happen. I know there'll be guidelines from the federal government, state, and Bucks County, but we have a unique local situation here in terms of we have a lot of restaurants and a lot of income that that have been generated from these businesses. So it's kind of a unique situation that, for example, Upper Makefield is not in the same position we are. But so I'm just opening up for discussion about how, for example, the Finance Committee, and I don't know, that should have an agenda because of these problems coming up, how they can meet virtually by Zoom to do some of the business and maybe some of the recommendations that I've just mentioned. I think we need to start opening up some of these other meetings, and I kind of think it's an essential meeting, so I'd like to put them on the essential list.
Okay. I guess, Micah, you can see if you can schedule the Finance Committee among the members there. I know they're volunteers, but see if they're available for a Zoom meeting to discuss some of these matters. I know we're. Yes.
I was just going to say, as their liaison, I'd be willing to help facilitate anything that needs to be done or that we want to do.
Sure.
Mr. Sander, can I just ask you a quick question?
Certainly.
These meetings, if it's a committee or other board other than the Board of Supervisors, they need to be recorded?
Yes,
It needs to be posted on the website and advertised?
yes, both.
Okay. Just so the board's aware that the advertising is a requirement, and it's a significant cost to advertise these meetings in the paper. So,
Well, it's a significant process that we have to go through to get businesses open, and I think it's a couple of $100. I don't know, how much is it to put a little ad in the paper? I mean, let's be realistic here. You're losing thousands and thousands of dollars. You want to spend a few $100s to get Newtown up to in business again. So I would, think we should be in favor of that. But I mean, it's up to the board.
So John, let me ask you a question. Is that when the governor says that we are allowed to reopen, or is this like prior
Yes, when you
to?
get into the yellow zone, I don't know
Okay.
what rules are going to apply to various different businesses. I mean, restaurants have unique situations, and then retail stores can't, have like letting them drive by. I don't know how that would work, but in any case, the survey that we're going to be putting out there, hopefully, should be re-looked at in light of this. I mean, this is going to go on for several months before businesses get up to 100%, and that the township feels, the residents feel safe enough to dine in at restaurants, for example, and visit other businesses. So it's something I think that, we need some more expert help on in terms of what can be done to help them through this process.
Okay. Anything else on the new business?
I was just going to add that my hope is that, as the trends go and we're looking at the data around infections and hospitalizations and, God forbid, deaths, that all of those, all that data is gradually improving and trending lower. So I'm still hopeful that within a couple of weeks we'll be into the yellow and soon thereafter into the green.
I think that's really wishful thinking, because if you listen to Fauci and other experts, once you get into opening this up, there's going to be an increase in infections no matter what you do. The idea is to keep it at as low as level as possible, yet have businesses open. And that's one of the things the finance and committee may be able to do if they had a task force. How can businesses open safely with input from the business owners? For example, I talked to the Green Parrot, and they're, taking the temperature of their employees every day. Now, that's not part of any specific guidelines, but I think it's a good practice if you can do it. I don't know if other businesses want to follow suit, but we can only make recommendations, and we need the input from local businesses. We can't, I'm averse to, laying down rules that we have to monitor. I'm not saying that we get into the business of monitoring this, but, we need to have this discussion with some local businesses, I think.
And hopefully the Newtown Business Association is involved in this. I think this is their purview here.
Well,
Because
and also, I was going to say that when this survey was first presented to us, I and maybe other people felt that, and I know, Dave, we had a little back and forth on whether the borough should be included in the survey. And now I've come around to really thinking that we're all in this together, and the borough should be included, and to follow suit. Like the Newtown Bingo, they're including the borough in that, and we got the Newtown Borough Mercantile Association involved in that, and so we have some momentum here, and many contacts with the Newtown Business Association and other business associations to get them involved. So, I think it's a good time to take it one step further. And we need help from the only experts that we have that have talked about how to improve businesses in Newtown is the Finance Committee. So I think they should, if they are willing to get together to have a meeting, at least by Zoom, that we can get all this out in the open and, resolve maybe.
Okay. Is there any?
Can I make a real quick comment
Sure.
before we close out this discussion. I think that while John, I get where you're saying, all the local businesses, the majority of them that we have here, I think that, you know, they want to open up is from what I'm seeing. I think many small business owners want to open up, and I think that if they know that customers and patrons are going to be cautious about entering their establishments, I think that maybe what we should do, the thing about it is the finance committee may not be the best committee for this, because I think that these businesses will already have a particular procedure in place to, like you say, you talk to the Green Parrot and they're going to be taking temperatures perhaps. But I think maybe we should, I don't know, maybe a different committee or a combination of a few folks together, as you said, a task force to talk about what is the best strategy for when they do open up. I mean, because from what I'm hearing is that people want to open up because, you know, the PPPs possibly have worked out, maybe they didn't, and they're losing a lot more money than they anticipated. So I think that they're already in line to get back and open up. I think that we just kind of make a task force. I don't know if the finance committee is going to be the best group of body to do this. I think maybe we can cherry pick or hand pick a few people to put together and talk about what the best strategy is in terms of putting things, procedures in place, or what businesses have in place already to make sure that their patrons and their customers are safe entering their businesses.
Well, why don't we let the finance committee help us put together that task force? I'm all in favor of that. I'm not saying that the finance committee is going to handle this alone, but, you know, they've been involved with, you know, activities that relate to this, and they have some expertise on board anyway. And, you know, so if we need a task force, then we need some recommendations from perhaps the finance committee. So I'm all in favor of going that route too. I don't really care, as long as we start having a discussion about this.
I think talking to, you know, maybe Chief Forsythe and Chief Hearn about what they're seeing and hearing out there first, and what's best might be our first port of call before we do anything else. My personal opinion, but.
Well, I don't know.
Mr.
I don't
Sanders.
know what they know about running a business, but and they're not. Doesn't sound like they're going to monitor what businesses are doing, from what I've heard. And also,
John, may I ask the question of our solicitor before we, to formulate a task force and/or another committee, is there anything that we need to do in regards to guidelines and setting such a, I know setting up committees, there's always been some sort of formulation of what our charge is for them to do. Would we have to do that in this case? If it's it would have to be something that has to be worked on like today.
Well, the best way to go about this is to have something in writing that creates an ad hoc committee, not a permanent committee, and that defines the number of members, the qualifications to be a member, the duties and obligations that the board would like to see the committee achieve, and things like, providing for election of a chairman and meeting a certain minimum time and issuing reports to the Board of Supervisors. So yeah, to set up a committee like this, there would be an undertaking. And for the committee to meet, you'd still have to advertise for each of their specific meetings, unless they're going to meet the same time every month or every 2 weeks. You could do one ad that says they're going to meet every so-and-so day of every so-and-so month. So it's certainly an undertaking to do that. I don't think that the board can say, let's set this up and Mike could go out and have a meeting.
Well, this would be go to the point that since we already have a finance committee, it's already set up, maybe John and/or David can, well, I think Dennis is the liaison, to contact them. One, if we do advertise, have to make sure they're going to form a quorum. Because again, this is where we're going to throw money away and then nobody shows up to the Zoom. We have to have them form a quorum. We have to have them have instructions on what we would like for them to do, and then formulate it from there. I mean, our next meeting is in 2 weeks. I think we should have something to them before that so they can maybe meet next week, or I don't know, what's our time limit to get an ad in the newspaper to advertise for a meeting of the Finance Committee.
Well, a special meeting, you only need 24 hours notice of, but that said, if we really want to be as transparent as possible, you're going to want to get this ad in. I always recommend at least a week before a meeting like this. I just wanted to clarify, what exactly is the Finance Committee being asked to do or accomplish in
Well,
this meeting?
they already have some work products in the making that can be, as I said, the survey, that might need to be refined going forward, and they've already started working on this. They might be in a position, instead of setting up another committee, you know, they're already existing. They could have a task force within their committee, or, you know, just go out and organize an ad hoc task force. I'm sure, you know, that can be done. Or, you know, if you want local businesses to set it up, just something from the township saying that we appreciate, you know, having this input from local businesses. And, you know, I don't see why it has to get too complicated.
What survey are we referring to?
There was a survey of residents about how to bring new businesses, or, you know, what.
There's a survey that was developed to find ways to get data on why the current businesses in Newtown do business here, what drew them here, what kind of challenges that are they experiencing, so that we can kind of collect that data and see how we can make Newtown a little marketable for other businesses to come in. The original plan was to figure out a way to get a larger corporation to come in to fit a certain space in Newtown. And that was what the survey was developed for, to do that.
Well, you're in a completely different situation now. We got to figure out how to bring back all the businesses that were in Newtown, prevent them from going.
So that survey's really not gonna.
Well, yeah, the survey should be modified. That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay. So
I think it's a good idea to be ready to reopen at whatever capacity the governor is going to allow. I think a committee and a survey is just going to, I think you need to do it quickly. I think it's going to take too much time to really think about it. And I get your point, Mike. I guess that John was saying about changing the COs is not really feasible. Huge undertaking. What about ideas like, special event permits for the parking lots for individuals that have the parking lot? Is that something we can expedite quickly to make it happen? I mean, it's got to be flexible. You got to be able to move faster. It's really not going to have any impact. We're talking about it for a month. We're going to miss the boat.
Well, I agree with you, Kyle, because we formulate a committee tomorrow, and the next day it's opened up. We're already behind. And the other thing about the special events, I think it has to be considered a special event, not just putting seats out into a parking lot. There's going to be a lot of changes for restaurants. I'm sure they're going to have to cut down their seating. They're not going to be able to sit within a certain area of one another. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things like this, guess rules and regulations that we haven't even seen yet, that they haven't even come up with yet, that a lot of these places are going to have to make adjustments. And, you know, and it's not just us. I mean, drive through New Hope. New Hope is barren. I mean, and that's a tourist attraction town. So some of these places are hurting besides us. So we have to, like you said, figure out how to get them back in a quick way. But also it's going to be a challenge for some of these restaurants. I mean, we have, for instance, we have some restaurants that have 350 seats in there. Well, I don't think 350 seats are going to be allowable under any kind of new rules. I mean, they may have to cut them by a third. So these are other things that I think we have to take into consideration for these restaurants, that they're going to have to make adjustments, and hopefully they're going to be able to survive business-wise with these adjustments made.
And that was an interesting point Kyle made about, potentially giving special permits and maybe taking over some parking lots and things like that. And
What about the parking? What are you going to do about the parking that you're taking
well,
over?
we're supposed to be a walking town, right? So
Well, not just that, you're cutting capacity. A lot of states are open at 25% capacity restaurants. So it's 25% less parking, 75% less parking.
75%, yeah.
Right.
But what about, well, there's other things. What about the safety of cars driving? Now you're talking about just putting seats in a parking lot. And
well,
maybe
not necessarily that, Phil.
some
Perhaps
sort of temporary fencing around it. But that's not going to protect a car that, I don't know, gets out of hand here and hits some diners that are dining somewhere where they shouldn't be dining, because it is a makeshift type of restaurant eating area. Now, what kind of liability may there be in some sort of legal aspect that we've created something that wasn't supposed to even be there? And where do you stop? Does every place have to have something in the parking lot? I understand, but we have to attack it in a reasonable way.
Well, the question is not where do you stop, is where do you begin, for Christ's sake? Got to begin somewhere, and it's a terrible situation. Basically, we have to do something. Maybe that's not the right solution, but maybe you can work with landlords like Brixmor. They can shut down whole streets, and they own the streets. So, there's other possibilities, and we have to look at each one individually, I guess. But we need some more ideas beyond this, I think.
Well, I'd be happy to convene the Finance Committee. We've certainly been talking about economic development. This is kind of like a shift from economic development, but keeping the economy as strong as it can be. It's certainly something we've been talking about.
Dennis, can I work with you on getting some more specific ideas and instructions that we can vote on to provide to the Finance Committee? Maybe they just need
and the whole board.
Well, yeah, but the whole board can't meet and talk about this.
Right.
Me and you can
Right.
meet virtually or whatever,
Right.
and make recommendations, and the board then can take it up at its next meeting.
Dennis, see when they can meet, when the earliest time that the
Get to,
Finance Committee can meet. Get back to Micah, because then it has to be advertised. And then you and John can sit in with the Finance Committee, give them some ideas, and see, by the next board meeting, we have something solid to talk about.
sure.
Okay, if you want to do it that way, that'd be great.
Okay.
And
And
then also,
if anybody wants, like David, you want to submit any
Yeah.
kind of ideas via
yeah,
email? Three of us can't
And
sit
Kyle
on
as well.
and that's fine. There's just one more thing that, we don't know what if we're going to go back to 100% of what it was before this happened, right? So all of our thoughts and process, we have to be mindful that things may have to adjust. So we talk about parking lots and stuff like that, and cars, and there's going to be a change. The volume and frequency of people that are going to be coming into those places, like Kyle said, is going to be at a tremendous discount in terms of percentages. So from what the restaurants are normally used to. So perhaps shutting down potential roads for times that people can dine outside, like how we do when we have Newtown Day or something like that. We have to figure out different ways that we can kind of give them an opportunity to win, is all. So when we go through all these ideas, let's just remember that, and feel like, at your point, liability is huge, and we got to make sure that we're not presenting in a way that we're encouraging folks to be in harm's way. But we also, I think that a lot of what we need to do, and we've been talking about this for a few weeks, maybe months now, that we got to find a way to help these businesses win. And everything's not going to be normal when everything opens back up. People are going to be very much in a place where they're hesitant to go into these certain places. So their volume's going to be down anyway. So we got to figure out other ways to help them with. And I think that that's just a mindset we need to think about when we ask these questions and we're going through this process. All right, that's my thought.
So I
Sounds
think we
good.
should have this on the agenda for every meeting. And if you want to have a work session at some point where we don't have to make decisions but can discuss it further. I mean, you know, I'm not doing anything here. I'm at home. You know, we have plenty of time to have a work session by Zoom, which normally is not even broadcast. So, you know, we just need to begin a process of really keeping this on the agenda, basically.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. I think if we're talking about it ahead of the opening, whenever that comes, I think we're ahead of the game. I think it's a good idea.
Well, we can have a work session, I guess Monday would be our scheduled work session. What about if we were to meet 10 o'clock in the morning? Is that okay with everyone? Monday?
I have a
All right, let's
10:30
see. I
appointment
gotta
already.
go.
You have what? I'm
I
sorry?
have a 10:30 appointment already on Monday.
Okay.
And I have
Conference
a
call.
food bank.
I'm sorry, Dennis?
I have food bank on Monday mornings, but I can miss one, but
No. Oh, food bank or meeting? I mean, that's up to you. I'm
Food
just
bank.
thinking we could have this taken care of in the morning. Kyle, what time is your 10:30 finish?
Probably it'll be half an hour. I could do 11. Or I
Wanna
can do
11?
earlier. Yeah.
Is 11 okay with everyone?
11's fine.
Okay, then why don't
We'll make
we,
it work.
Monday
What-
at 11, and we can have more of a discussion about this.
Do we have
Could we,
advertisement issues with that?
I think we already advertised a work session, didn't we? Or,
But not that time.
But
It's
not at 11.
advertised.
Yeah.
It'd have to be advertised as a special meeting
well,
because
advertising.
it's not already advertised. It's advertised for 7 p.m.
Do you want to do 7 p.m.?
Does the board have any problem right now in voting on an 11 a.m. meeting on Monday?
I have no problem.
I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Micah, you have, we've just officially changed the time to 11 a.m.
All right,
Can
we'll
we
get it
invite other people to participate in this particular meeting?
I guess we can. The whole thing is, well, I don't know.
You got. I think we got to
I'll
limit
take
it, or it's going to be
I'll
a
take the
total.
consensus. I'll take the consensus of the board. I'm not going to weigh in on this.
I was going to say,
All right,
if we have
but
too
we
many
should
people,
probably-
it's going to be hard to get anything done. We'll be stepping on each other just like this.
Why don't you,
But I
John?
mean,
Yeah, exactly. John, why don't you get like a lot of
I mean,
data
specific-
together from all the businesses you're talking to and bring it to the meeting of what their needs are and so forth.
a lot of data. You know, I've done a survey, but you know, we can look at that. And I've talked to, we have this list of people who are already signed up for the Newtown Bingo. So they're very motivated people. And we can, for example, bring in the president of the Mercantile Group. I'm not saying invite everybody to participate in the Zoom, like particular people, you know, and I'm not sure they can be there at 11 o'clock in the morning. I know the president of Mercantile probably can, and a representative from the Newtown Business Association can, and maybe somebody from Brixmore, for example, that sort of thing.
That makes
That's all.
sense to me.
You know,
How would you-
Okay.
I get permission, I will invite them.
Why don't they meet with the
Sorry,
finance
Dennis, I
committee?
didn't hear that. Well, whatever, I mean,
Phil,
you know,
what'd you
some
say?
of
Why don't
these
these
people
people,
are
wouldn't it
not
be better these people
available
meet
at
with the
certain
finance
times, so you
committee,
can't tell.
then the report? Well, there you go. See, we're two of us speaking at the same time.
All right, I mean, not a problem.
No, I'm just saying
Got
if they
got
could,
frozen there,
while you're
Jens.
while you're setting up with the finance committee, why don't you invite the mercantile, the Newtown Business Association on that meeting, condense it as far as the information, and then we could bring it hopefully to another meeting in the future. I mean, if it can be done,
Okay, that's fine.
quickly, that's even better.
All right, that's fine. No, I don't want to make a
I
big
can
deal out of it.
facilitate something like that.
Okay.
So Dennis, you and
Anything
I
else?
want to talk about this before Monday or what? Dennis?
Sure. Yes, yes.
You can talk about it today
All right.
That's
after
fine.
we're done. Yeah. Get the ball rolling.
No,
so to
it's time
speak.
for my nap. You know, I'm a person of a certain age. I'm playing
Well,
back
once these
after
restaurants
this.
open, the board will be the first ones in those restaurants. So we'll go as a board and eat together. That'd be great.
It's probably
Any
illegal.
need for an
We
executive
might even get
session?
some free meals out of it.
Well, no, it could be a special event. Mr. Sander, any need for a executive session
Yeah, no,
off this
I'm not
Zoom here?
not a big special event fan. Not a special. I don't even know if we finalized a special events ordinance, and I think that someone had already pointed out earlier that that's for parades and July 4th this, or that's
Yes,
not
sir.
to be used for this type of thing.
Okay, thank you. Any need for an executive session? Dave? Everyone's freezing up every once in a while.
No,
Yeah? Okay.
not at this
Yeah,
time.
same
No,
here.
not at this time.
Okay, excellent. I guess just the motion to adjourn, and I guess there's no need for a second. We're all
So moved.
ready to go. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Another successful Zoom.
Have a good one. Stay safe.
We're getting used to these things. I get. All right. Yeah, everybody stay safe. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Likewise,
Okay,
everybody
bye.
take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Be well. All right, take care.